Want more stories in your life without adding to your TBR? That's where Audible comes in. I use it for the original novellas, the Plus catalog like Keanu Reeves' Veronica Speedwell series, and those audiobook sales that you can beat. Right now, Audible has a special offer for new and returning members. Click the link in the show notes to see what deal you'll get and start listening today. Welcome to the Retro Next podcast. Today's guests Zakiya and Jamal, and today we'll talk about her two debut novels. She debuted earlier this year a YA romcom, If We Were a Movie. This is sapphic romance set on Long Island. It's just like fun place to just land if you're looking for coming of age stories and first loves. This is a book to read. If you're looking for an adult romance, a little bit more spicy, then you want to go to Sparks Fly, which comes out next month. And it's just like a fun trope that takes the virgin-trope, a late bloomer, into going to a sex club to looking for her first partner. I love this book so much, so I really hope you enjoy this. Make sure to pre-order it. In this interview, Zakiya talks about her writing process. We talk about book packagers and how that actually comes about when it comes to writing. We talk about her book recommendations. She got some great recommendations for you to pick up. So yeah. And if you love K-dramas, we talk about telenovelas and Turkish novelas. So everything in between. So I hope you enjoyed this episode.
Zakiya, welcome to the What's Your Next podcast.
Hi, nice to be here.
Sorry, so excited to have you here. So tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, so hi, I'm Zakiya. I am an author. My first novel, If We Were a Movie, which is a YA novel, came out in April, and my adult debut, Sparks Fly, comes out in December.
Oh my gosh. So we got to talk about this idea of like releasing two adult debuts in the same year, different genres, different groups, but still, like, how did it happen? Like, that's the first things first.
So If We Were a Movie was a young adult novel. So that was, I worked on it with what's called a book packager. Essentially what that they kind of have like the idea for the book, and then they hire someone, in this case me, to write the book. So that was kind of happening, but then at the same time I was writing my own stuff. So like kind of in the middle of me writing If We Were a Movie, I got an agent, and she really liked what I had for what eventually would become Sparks Fly. At the time it was something totally different. So she was like, let's work on that. So we worked on that together, and If We Were a Movie sold first, and then Sparks Fly sold, I want to say like a few months later, maybe 6 months later. And I think originally If We Were a Movie was actually supposed to come out fall of last year, but it ended up coming out this year. And then obviously Sparks Fly is coming out fall of this year. So it just ended up that they were in the same year.
That's exciting. Okay, we got to start off with packagers, and I have so many questions because I grew up in a healthy dosage of Babysitters Club, Sioux Valley High in the 90s. So it is our Lord year 2020 something, and this is our version of those. But in some ways where we get authors to actually write the story, pack it, like put it together. So there's a lot of questions about it. Like, it's fascinating. So I want to hear from your experience what it's like. Explain a little bit more about the process, because our listeners may not be familiar with it, but it is it's actually like a thriving area.
Yeah.
Publishing industry.
So basically for me, my journey was I had a friend of mine, a former coworker who was working at this book packager, and she reached out to me because she knew I like had gone to grad school for writing, and she knew I was trying to write a book. And so she was like, would you be interested in writing something for us? And I was like, sure, why not? Like, I hadn't had an agent yet. I hadn't started any of that process yet. So I was, maybe this is my step to getting published. So I had to basically audition, which was submitting a writing sample to them of just something that I had been working on. And then from there, they're like, okay, this is great. These are some book ideas that we have. Do any of these sound like something you can write? And so the first couple they sent, I was, like, I think maybe I could do it, but it's not really something I'm like excited about. And so then they gave me what would eventually become If We Were a Movie. I think we originally had it titled like, would you like popcorn with that? Something like that, of that nature. And so they basically provided me with like an outline of what the book would be. So like a general kind of plot summary, some characters, but then they're kind of like, make it your own, basically. So originally, when they first presented it to me, it was actually a straight romance. So it was between a girl and a boy. And I was like, no, I think it should be gay. And so I was like, I think we should make it sapphic. I think she would have a girlfriend. And they were totally down with that. So that was kind of the first big change that I made to it. And then I kind of just made it my own. Like I grew up on Long Island, so I said it on Long Island and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, so I basically worked with them to write like the first third of the book. Like I would write 25 pages, they would edit them back and forth until we felt good about it. And then the packager works with an agency. And so the agency then took the book out, the proposal. So basically the first third of the book that I wrote, along with like what the rest of the book would be. And they took it out to publishers and they sold it that way. And then once it's sold, the process is kind of the same as anybody else in publishing from there. But yeah, so that was kind of the short version, I guess.
That is so interesting. As someone who's like, I'm so grateful for this podcast. As I've talked to ghostwriters, I've talked to people who have done all different types of things in the book industry. And this is one of those areas where we don't know that information and we make assumptions. But the reality is like, it's fascinating, especially as a someone who wants to dip into shows of writing. This is a great way to get an idea what it looks like, get some guidance if you're not sure. And I think it's in some ways it's like I love the fact it's an upgraded ghostwritten, like quote unquote like a outlines of like what it used to be, but make it sapphic, make it set in Ireland, set in your place. So the author actually has some more flexible, like more autonomy than just handing down an outline and write it what it used to be like back in the 90s. So I love this. And I think in some ways this is giving you like new authors opportunity to write and provide their voices. And so, yeah. Awesome. All right. So let's talk about your adult debut, which is very exciting because you turn the virgin-trope upside down.
Yeah.
Top two of a sex love. And so it's like, oh my gosh, she's not like the pure, like, oh my gosh, I don't know anything. It's like she has autonomy. It's very sex positive, which is very exciting. So talk to us about like the process of like coming up with this story and how to convey it in this year where we're moving towards very Christian nationalism and all of those tropes of traditional, whatever traditional crap that they want to say, but and turn it into like, it's not just virginity is just part of it. It is just not something that you can be sex positive too.
Mhm. Yeah, for me, I read a lot of romance. It's like pretty much all I read most of the time. And so I think the virgin trope is a very popular trope, and it's typically the woman who's a virgin, and it's usually like a male-female relationship, and it's like she's so innocent, she's so pure, she's never even had an orgasm before, and then this guy who's like sleeping around and has like he's like a player, but like he finds her and now he's like ready to settle down with like this one lady and like teach her about sex basically.
Yes.
And I am a late bloomer myself, and I was like, and I know a lot of late bloomers, like a lot of my friends are late bloomers, and I was like, we talk about sex. Like we may not be having sex, but we talk about sex.
Yeah.
And it's not like this taboo thing for us. Like we're not like, oh my God, we can't talk about that. That's not like it's just that it's like people are late bloomers for a number of reasons. Like sometimes it is tied to religion, but a lot of times it's just like you haven't met the right person. It's not like, and it might be it could be a number of reasons. And so I wanted to write a late bloomer who knows what she wants and knows what she's looking for and like has had an orgasm before, and it just hasn't happened with a person. And so going into that, that was always like part of the plot. Like the book has changed over time, but that general idea has always been the foundation of the story for me. And then it kind of built from there. Like I was trying to figure out who would be the person that she would be like, okay, I will lose my virginity to this person. So I kind of built Max, her love interest, from there. But yeah, so that's kind of where it stemmed from.
Yeah, well, I love the idea. Like, think about late bloomers. It's not just religion. A lot of times it's just dating scene. The Lord 2025. It is not the same. It is not the same. I'm in my 40s, so I've seen it all. This is not Sex in the City. This is not like you go in a bar and talk to someone. The social interactions were different, were limited. It's just like, and so even just having sex, it's like, yeah, like you don't want to do it. Like, it's sometimes like you want to get it over with, or you just want to just find the right person. And so you kind of have to deal with like a lot of people, they're
Yeah.
not so good. So
Yeah.
I love this idea of like having her having autonomy and like having an orgasm and like not feeling like a shame around it.
Mhm.
That space, like, that there's nothing, it's a late bloomer. And it's like very taking that trope that you don't need to have the magic peen to do give you an orgasm right away. For
Like,
the first time, the awakening. Like you can also have that awakening too.
mhm. Exactly.
Awesome. All right. So did you plot it out or did you pants it? Because I know you had an outline for the first book but I'm assuming you have other books written in
Yeah.
the back. Were you a plotter or pantser?
Yeah. So I'm typically a pantser. However, so when I first started writing what would become Sparks Fly, I was just pantsing it. Like I didn't have a plot line or anything like that. I was just had a general idea. I was writing it. But with my agent, because she had come to me actually, like she'd slid into my DMs and was like, "Hey, are you writing anything?" And so at the time, I hadn't finished what would eventually be Sparks Fly. So she had me write out like a plot summary or a plot outline of like what I thought the book would be, which was very hard for me because I do not do that. So that was kind of the first time I really did that. But so now I kind of do, like, especially now that I'm like under contract, I have to like write what my book is going to be about. Otherwise, they're like, we're not going to let you write that. So I've become more of a plotter, but originally I
Yeah.
was definitely more of a pantser. And I still like, my plots are very much just like a suggestion. Like I go off my plot almost all the time. Like it usually doesn't stick.
So what does it feel like now that you're under contract, which is a little bit different because you have deadlines, you're accountable to other people. Well, the writing process in the back, and maybe you went to grad school for writing, so you probably have a similar perspective. But how does it feel like now being on the other side of the contract? Like, is it much more stressful, or is it more like, or is it helps you kind of like just set the focus and like this is what I gotta do?
It helps me for sure. Like I love a deadline, which I'm sure other authors are like, "Are you okay?"
Yeah.
No, like I like knowing that I'm working towards something because like if I'm just like I just want to write a book or whatever, like I'll be like, well, I have time, like I can do something else. Like I can like it's easier for me to procrastinate. Whereas like when I have a deadline, it's like, okay, we have to like lock it, like because we actually like we need to like people are looking for this book. Like it's a real thing. Versus like if it's just me, like I'm like, well, I'm only accountable to me and like me don't care. So yeah, so definitely I like the structure of being on deadline. I'm sure like I'm still very early in it. So this is like really my first time being on deadline because if we were a movie and Sparks Fly kind of happened at the same time, I didn't really have that experience. So now as I'm writing my next book is the first time I'm really like feeling it. So my feelings might change. Right now I like it. So
All right. And then what's your favorite part? Is it drafting, plotting, or editing?
definitely editing. I'm drafting right now and I hate it. Uh, I'm looking forward to being done with this first draft. I'm like inching towards the finish line. I very much enjoy revising more. Like I like being able to go back into a draft and like knowing what I need to fix. Like right now, drafting for me just feels like I'm throwing spaghetti at the wall. Like even with the plot outline, I'm like, none of this makes sense. So I love being revising because it's like now I have something that I can work with and like I know how to fix it. Yeah.
I love this. And so, what's your favorite self care activity to keep you sane during all this time? I've been asking, actually, I used to ask this question in 2020, and I feel like I need to bring it back in
Yeah.
2025 because we're still in hell.
Yes. No, very much so. I feel like it's worth.
It really is. I think there's an alternate timeline that we just
Yeah.
that happened that we're just
Yeah, no, we're in the bad timeline. We're in the bad place for sure.
yeah. So what
Um,
he's saying, and so
yeah. I think for me, it's really watching TV. I'm a huge fan of K-dramas, which I slip into the book. I slip into all my books at this point. All my books, I have two. But I love K-dramas. I feel like I can just the episodes are so long. And like I'm the type of person that I'm like, I'm not getting up until I finish the episode. So it forces me to like lock in for like an hour.
yeah.
And it's also just it's so separate from like American culture. That is a very nice way for me to like step outside of what's going on here.
Yeah.
I'm like, a whole nother country. They speak in a different language. It's like, it's nice over there. And so, yeah, so I love K-dramas and then also just like sitcoms. Like I'm currently rewatching Friends again for like the bajillionth time. I love New Girl, Living Single, like all those How I Met Your Mother, all those shows that is just like 30 minutes of like nonsense. Uh, I love those. So yeah, really like TV because I also work in publishing. So I just like, unfortunately, reading has been too tied up in both of my jobs. So watching TV is like a nice little break for my brain.
I love this. All right, so I'm gonna suggest you watch Turkish dramas. I'm a Turkish girl.
Really? I
So
haven't,
I love Turkish. They're all on Netflix and stuff like that. They're great. They're just like enough that we have a recap show.
oh,
But it's kind of like the same escape from it. You're like in this beautiful setting. You're like finding these people like trying to figure out what's going on. Like high drama and like telenovelas. But then I grew up in a healthy dose, so I grew up in Puerto Rico, so most of my childhood was telenovelas from Mexico.
yes, that's exactly okay. So I too, because I'm Cuban, my grandma loved telenovelas. She also
Yes.
had the little novella books as well,
Yeah.
that you get for like $1 at the bodega.
Yeah.
Anyway, I literally like when I talk about watching K dramas, I'll be like, oh yeah, like I just have to watch my stories.
Yes,
It's
it's like the
exactly how I
same
do it.
one.
Same
Like
thing. Same thing.
I have another author from your publisher. She's from Venezuela. And I was like, I told the publicist, I was like, I grew up watching Venevisión. Like all the
Mhm.
telenovelas for the 80s and 90s were in Venezuela or Mexico. Like it didn't, and there was no in between. You just do. And now they're actually in Latin America, they exporting Turkish dramas, and my mom got into it. And now we're just watching. But
Yeah.
it's like it's just like a nice little escape from other worlds and like the drama and the specific things. And you just and some of them you have subtitles, so you actually have to like look and listen.
Exactly. You have to lock in, like you can't be scrolling
Yeah.
on your phone.
Yeah.
You have to like actually watch, which is I
Yes.
think is perfect. Yeah.
Yes. It's a great mindful activity. So okay, so let's talk some book recommendations. What kind of books do you tend to recommend our listeners to pick up?
I mean, like I said, I read mostly romance. I feel like that's what I am often recommending. So yeah, I mean, mainly romance, but I also, because I do so much romance and I also work on a lot of romance novels, I am also trying to like read outside of romance. So like right now I'm listening to The Scammer by Tiffany D. Jackson, which is like set at this like fictional HBCU that's very similar to Howard University. And basically this group of girls, it's like four of them, they are like suite mates, and one of the girls' brother like moves in with them and he's like a very sketchy dude. And so I'm only at the beginning, but I'm already like red flags, red flags. So I'm very scared for the girlies. I don't know what this man is about to do to them, but I'm very frightened. But yeah, so every so often I was trying to dip out of romance. I could read something different. So that's what I'm doing right now. But like I also just read Mate by Allie Hazelwood, which I absolutely loved. I'm very new to the like werewolf romance genre, but anything Allie Hazelwood writes, I will read. So
Yes. I love these recommendations, and you gotta tell me if someone dies in this camera because that's actually my fear.
no, yeah, I'm like bracing myself as I read it.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is gonna go so bad. This is gonna go way left. So I'm like, I'm already like, oh boy. But I'm very early on it, so who knows what's gonna happen.
Yeah, because like I love a good scamming story, but I like the white collar crime, not the bird crime. Although I do love cozy mysteries, but I feel like cozies, yes, there's a murder, but it's like not the person you care about and stuff like
Yeah,
that. But
yeah.
it's a weird thing. So, Zakiya, tell us where you find it online.
Oh yeah. So you can find me pretty much on all the social platforms at Zakiya N, like Nancy Jamal. So it's just my name, and I have the same username all the places. So
Awesome. Thank you so much for being in the show.
yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the What to Read Next. For more book lists, cozy reads, and library tips, visit the whattoreadnextblog.com. Your next great read might be waiting there. Are you an author, publisher, or book-related business looking to reach passionate readers? What to Read Next podcast is a perfect place to connect with an engaged audience of romance and mystery lovers who are always on the hunt for their next great read. Now, we're offering sponsorship opportunities. Whether you're launching a new book, promoting an upcoming release, showcasing a bookish product or services, we can help you get the word out. Let's work together to bring your books or businesses to readers who are ready to discover something new. Please visit watchreadixblog.com/sponsorships
to learn more or reach out to chat about the perfect sponsorship or package for you. Thank you much for listening. Your next great reader is waiting for you.